Yeah, you're looking at the Sebring Convertible 2.5 Mitsubishi engine. This is on a 99 Sebring. The 96 through 2000 are the same engine. If you got the V6, the 2.5. If you got a 2001 and up, you got the infamous 2.7. I just want to go over like where the sensors are. Some people just don't know where they are. I'm going to use this strong flashlight, see if that comes out really good. Yeah, you can see that. This is your throttle position sensor. Now I also have this aluminum intake on here, so it looks a little different, but that's their throttle position sensor. This is your idle air control valve. Excuse me, right down there. See it right there? That's your idle air control, IAC. This is your this is not a sensor. This is the TPS, the transmission control module. You'll notice it only has like a couple bolts that hold it in. That's about all there is. There's one there, and there's one over here, and there's the plug. And before you do any of this work, make sure you disconnect your battery. There's your ground wire right there. And also, just want to mention, if you're actually take the ground off, there's two nuts on here. You probably want to clean all these grounds because it makes a bad ground will affect your computer. This is your PCM, your power control module, the computer for the engine. There's only a couple bolts that hold that in too, and these clips. And underneath here is just this little clip, pops open. There's fuses. The back of this box is marked exactly what the fuses are. There's relays right in here. There's also relays underneath there. I went over that on a separate video. I'm not going to go over that again. Now I have the little plastic cover that's off of it, that's on this. Usually that was with the original air cleaner, so you can see there normally be a plastic cover going over this that says 2.5 fuel injection. Here's your fuel injectors right here. Here's your fuel injector rail. Okay. This black sensor back here, the one that's towards the back, that's the manifold absolute pressure sensor, or MAP sensor. It does not have a MAF sensor, which is mass air flow sensor. That's different. On other cars, they'd have a MAF sensor. It would be up there where the air is coming in. This does not have that. It has a manifold absolute pressure sensor. There are also different parts depending on if you have the coupe or the convertible. Okay, it's a different part number. This is the IAT, intake air temperature sensor. Also, you know, I've probably got separate videos on these things down here. Just you can see this is oily because I'm going to be changing out the cam seal. Besides, it's raining out. I guess you can't see it too good from the top. You can see it from the bottom. I also have a separate video on the oil pressure sensor. That's a thing that constantly will give you problems because of it gets dirty and oily down there and the connection gets bad. Usually it's not the sensor that's bad. That's your Egr valve right there. Okay, and there's two hoses that come off of that. Maybe there's a little hose and a big hose, and a little hose goes straight to the back of the intake, upper intake manifold. Sometimes that hose has a problem. There's also a ground, a wire for the Egr valve. You got to make sure that's in good shape too. As far as the O2 sensor, usually the first one is the one that goes bad. You can see it from underneath the car. It is very, very tough to get at, the first one. If you actually have a problem with the code, with the O2 sensor going off, you might want to try Seafoam or this other stuff called BG, fuel injector cleaner. Sometimes it cleans it up good enough where it actually works well to do the job, and you know, clean it up. It'll actually clean it up temporarily. Your second O2 sensor The wiring, it's very easy to get to. It's from the bottom, and you disconnect the wiring harness under the carpet, under the passenger side, by the console. But sometimes the wire is tangled up underneath the console. I also want to note on here that gee, I realized I put this back on here a little screwed up here. Also want to note that the wires on this car, it's actually sensitive to what ignition wires you use. I did not realize that. I tried 2 other major brands. Car would not run right. I was like thinking, what the hell, do I have them crossed up or something? No. Put the other ones back on, it ran well. I found out AutoZone Duralast wires run perfect on this car. You don't need to get the OEMs. Also want to mention on here, the crank position sensor is a separate video on that. Jeez. I'm going to point to the separate video because I can't even barely see it. It's like it's basically under the distributor and damn hard to see. It's hard to get to too. It's a 10mm bolt. I have a nice clear shot of it on another video because I had out all these the coolant manifold, the crossover pipe was out of it and everything. You can really see where it is. Really, to get at it, sometimes it's easier to go through, take the wheel off and go through this way, or you could take off this EGR pipe and take out the transmission control module, and then you can stick your arm way down there and get at it a lot better. But you know, you want to make sure you disconnect the battery before you do that type of stuff. The distributor is buried back here. I'm going to say though that, yeah, there it is. I'm going to say though, I never really got the distributor out without taking the upper intake manifold off. It's almost like forget about it. Some people I have, I'm like, I don't know how the hell they do that, but it only takes me 15 minutes to take this upper intake manifold off, and I think it probably saves me a lot more time. I'm going to tell you again on this video, this car is sensitive to freaking aftermarket parts. I mentioned this on other videos. The only distributor I really trust besides the Chrysler one, which is $950, no way, is the Cardone Select, brand new, and that's like 2 something, and a lot cheaper, but it's their major manufacturer of distributors. I'm not freaking advertising for them, but I found out from Hardway. You know, the other thing is the crank position sensor, I only get OEM. The O2 sensors, I get Bosch. Also, if you get these other sensors like the MAP sensor, the manifold absolute pressure sensor, IAT, like sometimes you'll see like standard sells components. They'll sell a cheap economy version, and they sell another version. Do not get the economy version. I found out that this computer does not like certain aftermarket parts. This car runs really good when it's got the parts in it that the computer seems to design for, to learn by. Some aftermarket parts just don't work right with this car. I found that out, boy, the hard way. The other thing is the spark plugs. I'm using Champions double platinums like as the OEM. It likes NGKs are really good, fine. Autolite are really made for General Motors. I don't know why they don't like, this car doesn't really like Autolite. It doesn't like not run or anything, it just doesn't run as good. But there is one Autolite brand, one type, they're expensive, that works well with this car. It's the Iridiums, not the triple platinums or double platinums, the Iridiums. That one works. So just want to put out, you know, where the hell these sensors are, because people probably know what the hell they are. I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, if you got a really old car, you're better off changing all these stupid relays in here, because they might look good, but they can get stuck, and you might have to, you know, take the cover off, smack them, and then they work again or something. I mean, you got a relay in there for fuel pump, you got one for ASD relay, you got one for the convertible top. You could swap them around and stuff, but you know, they're $3 each. If you got a car now that's in 1996 to 2000, and you got these $3 relays in it, and they're been in there for like 15 years or more. Change them, you know. As a matter of fact, you know, if the car runs good, I mean, supposedly electronic stuff is supposed to be oh so easy, but to tell you the truth, the electronic junk gets dirty. A lot of times you can clean these sensors and stuff and it'll work good again, but you know, you're better off just, if they're really old, I'd change them. I mean, if you get good parts, you find a place that sells good parts for low price, you're better off changing some of these sensors that aren't too much money and just to hell with it for reliability. But that's where they are again. So just want to point this out real quick, but there's a lot of it. I'll put some links in the information box on more details on this, and you know, where exactly, you know, about the crank position sensor, crank position, excuse me, the crank position sensor is one, and also the ignition coil in the distributor is the other. You can actually just change the ignition coil if you really can't afford a new distributor. You could take the distributor out, you could change the ignition coil. I think it's like 85 bucks. It's not that much money, and it should work, you know. So anyway, I'm going to tell you one other stupid thing on this thing that I actually had an issue with that surprised me, was that this overflow tank, the plastic that went into it, it has like a little hole in there, you know, for where, you know, so it overflows into here, it comes out. The plastic got so old, the hole closed up. So it was like this line wasn't doing anything. And I was wondering, you know, and actually couldn't figure out what the hell the problem was. And I said, wait a minute, the line was clear, the overflow tank, and I didn't realize it was the end. It was actually this end piece. So, you know, some of the parts on this car are different from the convertible to the coupe, even though it shares the same engine. So beware when you order parts. You know, one was this manifold absolute pressure sensor. That's one that's different. Most of them are the same thing, though. And make sure, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but if you're getting O2 sensors, get Bosch. Don't go playing around trying to, those are the original equipment. Don't go playing around trying to save 10 bucks or 5 bucks on something and it won't work right, because like I said, this engine seems to work really well. This is the 2.5 Mitsubishi. The one that's really gave everybody the major headaches was the damn 2.7 that came out in 2001, and they were bad really for 2001, 2002, and 2003. They got better in 2004, but in my opinion, they're not really that great. This engine's got 250,000 miles on it, still runs good. It's got a cam seal leak now. It was leaking some. I tried some stuff with AT205. It kind of worked for a while. Well, the parts should be in tomorrow, the rest of them, so I can start doing it. So I'll be showing you how to do that. And lots of labor, cheap on the parts, but lots of labor. But it's, hey, you know what you like about these cars, right? The roof comes down, right? That's the deal, right? It's convertible. Which today it's raining, so forget about that. So, but it's great if you've got nice warm areas to go into and stuff. So, if you got any questions, I'm usually online and I will answer questions. And even though I'm not a professional mechanic, I know this car pretty damn well, actually. And I've been through most of the garbage that goes wrong with this car, so I might be able to steer you right.